124. Last time I checked, I think they were like at 124. It might have went up. So Vinnie Mac about to definitely cash out some more. Well, I think he sold the majority of his shares.
No,
So
he can still cash out even more. Yeah, if they're really going to kick him out of creative and all that, he can just continue to cash out.
he's still there in the shadows, though. It's like Nosferatu. He's still there somehow, but obviously, because we see the product, he definitely ain't there in control. Again, as we start this podcast, anybody that's listening at this very moment, understand,
Oh shit.
hey, bring back Vince. I think
No,
now's the
again,
perfect
I'm
time.
not for that. I'm not for that. You are.
Yeah. Now's the perfect time to bring him back because it's like you got the money.
My mic was way over there. Damn.
Yeah, I just don't have a mic, but my, that's about to change. No, because now you in a situation where we already got the money. We might as well do foolishness.
You really want to start off with this? You want to start off with this first? Okay.
I mean, let's do like every other podcast. Let's talk about today's news for 48 minutes, even though we ain't gonna do that.
No, because this again, no, but this is really interesting again. So, according to the Variety article, again, the deal is valued at $500 million per year for 10 years, or a whopping $5 billion. And this is for Netflix again. And we had talked about a few weeks ago how Netflix has a lot of these sports docs. They don't have actual sports to show. So this is huge for them, as everyone's saying, because they've been trying to get real sports for a while, but they've made it their niche to have these sports stories about actual sports. Like I said, they were able to get people into Formula One because of Drive to Survive. They're trying to get people into the PGA with Full Swing. And now to actually show something, an actual sporting event, which, sports entertainment, but still weekly in their future is going to be a huge deal. I mean, stuff like how they're going to do commercials and ads is to break down later, but let's not forget they had WWE archives for a little bit in like 2013, 2014, until the network launched in 2014. Like when I moved here from California and first got Netflix, I'm like, oh, you can watch WWE pay-per-views that have already happened on Netflix. It was weird because I'm like, I wouldn't expect something like that. They had a lot of like the 2012, 2013 pay-per-views. And then when the network launched, that they kind of ended that. And Netflix has since then tried to get sports. A few months ago, like, they had the crossover between Drive to Survive and Full Swing, where they had F1 drivers and golfers do like a fun golf match together. That was streamed live. I watched the replay, but the problem with that was they put together a broadcast team, and that's the part that didn't work. So they're just buying something in terms of rights. They're not going to be responsible for putting on a broadcast itself with the announcers and the interviewers, or how they're going to produce and shoot the show, which is their biggest issue, which is why if they ever get the NBA or an NFL game or whatever, that's their problem. That's probably why they haven't done that yet. I mean, what do you think about them just being the house? Like you said, like it's kind of a big deal, but then we'll just have to wait and see because it's so far down the line, to be honest. It's a whole nother year away.
11 months, well, yeah, about a year away, not 11 months, somewhere around that. The servers, like you just said, got to hold up. You didn't say the servers, but that's the biggest thing.
No, that's basically what it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to buy no servers for a live, stream. Whereas the Amazon Prime has that, which was, the initial rumor besides Disney. So I'm glad that didn't work out with either one of them. $5 billion for asking price for something that's worth, that much definitely is, because it's the longest running TV show in history. Live TV show, or just TV show in general in history.
Yeah, longest, they say it's the longest weekly episodic TV show in history. So every week there's one of these, an episode of Raw, basically is what they say. They outran Gunsmoke, they outran all these other shows that they like to brag about. But I think it was maybe Bonanza. Yeah, I think it was Bonanza. Yeah. But no, you would know the servers and all that technology. Yeah, that's been their issue. Like, how do they stream live? Because they did the Chris Rock special last year live, and I think this year they're going to be showing the SAG Awards. They bought the rights to those, And that's another forward just to see if they can do stuff live. Again,
Right.
it's no one cares about the actual SAG Awards, no offense, but it's just about to see if they can stream stuff live. Like, what's the delay? What's the buffering? What's the issues that we can have. So because they want sports, that's like everyone's been saying, like they're always a player for this and that, but it never comes to fruition. They just make the docs about sports. So now they finally like have dipped their foot fully into the water and gotten some sports to show. Like this is still like a huge thing. It's 3 hours every week that you're gonna have to hope doesn't crash out and buffer, or you have to restart every week. Because Eve had that good tweet where he said, like, he shared the password sharing. Like, imagine trying to watch Raw and you're not able to because the whole household thing. They cracked down on password sharing in the last year and a half. I know because I'm the one who lends my Netflix to people to use. That's not an issue for me, but still, it's like I don't care really because it's like I only use it once or twice a week. It all depends on what I want to watch. And we talked about 2 shows last week that I'm interested in: the Vince Staples show and the Gentleman show. Those are going to be on Netflix in the next 2 months. So to have WWE is going to be very interesting.
And I use HBO Max more than anything. So
yeah,
over Netflix. So I saw people saying, Tristan just said it. Shouts out to Tristan and everybody that's in here. Make sure to share the link. Also, the new subscribers, thank y'all for being here. So I saw people say they were going to cancel their Netflix account. You can still cancel it. You just got to subscribe by a year from now. That's it.
I get why people say like it's not worth its price. Because I agree, the price is extremely high. Because they've continued to up it because famously they've lost a shit ton of money in the last couple of years. The irony is, like, I think it was yesterday they announced that one of the studio heads was leaving, and Scott Stuber, he was one of the guys that pushed them to produce bigger budget films. And I think that's them trying to say something in a way, like, we're going to try to get away from these bigger movies that we're not going to see any revenue from, to holding WWE rights. So that way, again, the 3.5 million. But you got to think about this too. Like, people who are already WWE fans, if they're already paying, that's a percentage you already lose. Like myself, like, you're not getting, you already have my money. You're not getting my money again. So that's the thing. Like, when they talk about churn, like people who subscribe, watch their show, and then unsubscribe, they always say that's what happens when a big show comes back, like Stranger Things. A lot of people subscribe when Stranger Things is released. They watch all the Stranger Things, and then they unsubscribe. HBO Max had that with House of the Dragon 2 years ago. Every service has it. They were talking about it with Peacock. We talked about how Ted did so well in the ratings, and the NFL game did so well. And that's a thing where they were saying, like, did people sign up just to watch this NFL game and then saw Ted after? Like, hey, I might check that out. That looks interesting. But when there are people like myself who are willing to pay for these services just to watch the archives that they have, you already have my money. You're not going to get it again. And they want people who are like me going to continue to stay. So that's the interesting conundrum for Netflix going forward. And it's that thing that I think Fox got tired of, is we have the same viewership every week, and it's not the viewership we want. And that's relating to SmackDown, not to Raw. Leaving from USA with Raw makes total sense, because you can already tell that USA doesn't want to be in the WWE business again, where they have 3 shows on one network.
They have SmackDown, though, that's on there, correct?
But they don't want to go they don't want to go like how it was prior to SmackDown leaving for Fox, where it was Raw and SmackDown both on USA. Even though NXT was on the network, when they announced NXT was going to USA, SmackDown had just left for Fox, or was about to within that same kind of 2-week span. And you can always tell, like, USA wants to be in the WWE business, but not the WWE network, which people often associate with it, because their other original programming doesn't do as well in terms of notoriety or popularity. Not anymore, I should say.
How much is that deal for Fox at USA? Do you know?
The SmackDown deal on USA now?
I'm sorry. Yeah, how much is that SmackDown deal for
Let me look.
USA?
They were getting. Let me see. And that was 5 months ago, I think.
Yeah. And then I'll talk about the NXT deal because I'm interested in numbers for that as well.
Yeah, so this was in September. They announced it that it was going to be a 5-year agreement between USA to bring back SmackDown. I don't see a price tag yet. Hang on.
Probably up. It's up there. It's probably gonna be in the billions, dude. Probably not 5, but it's definitely gonna probably be at least.
Well, their whole philosophy with Nick Khan in charge, and that's what's going to lead to the talk about the $7 man, is they just want the money now more than ever. They don't care where it's at, which is the whole point of trying this Netflix thing out. Everyone knows, like I just have said the last 10 minutes, that Netflix doesn't stream events live. So they're willing to take that chance if Netflix is willing to pay them $5 billion. If it crashes out, it crashes out. But that's $5 billion they got. And granted, they can still cancel the deal or whatever and have a buyout, but they're still willing to take that $5 billion price tag over a $2 billion one that has stability.
Here's my thinking. This is why I'm asking this question. So that's 16 billion in the past year. Sold the company for 11 to TKO. Now, not TKO, but you sold it to
Endeavor to start
Endeavor.
TKO.
Yeah, you sold it to them. Now it's $5 billion selling Raw to Netflix. I said this before. I'll say it again. If I'm the talent, depending on who I am, or I feel like all the talent in general, but depending on who I am, hey, bruh, need a raise. Because now we get into that. We get to that point where it's like this is NBA type money.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't NFL type money, but it's NBA type revenue from TV. Hey man, I know all the old workers talk about the young workers because how much they getting paid now is way more than they made over their career, but it ain't enough if I'm one of the top workers. If I'm, say, for example, and I don't want to put names out there, but just name all the people that sell the merchandise, the top people. All right, I'll just say Dominic. If I'm Dominic, he just read up on his contract. Hey man, can we renegotiate this?
Yeah,
because when you see all the money, like, all right, so the reason why these players in the NBA are able to get $200 million or so, it's because of how much they make it on the TV revenue,
or were, because it fluctuated the last couple of years. There were good years, and that's why guys signed big deals 6 years ago and were overpaid, and then it dipped a little bit, and then they said the pandemic was almost gonna fuck things up, but it recovered just in time. Based on like how projections were of like, oh, we weren't able to generate ticket revenue, obviously due to COVID for almost 2 years, but then they were able to bounce back, and now the salary cap looks like it's going to be stable.
But you see the ticket sales for WWE, they selling out everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing last year where it looked like Endeavor was smart by paying that price for WWE because all their live events kicked the UFC's ass when it came to gate tickets, and obviously they sell a whole lot.
Already sold,
and they already
Australia next month,
and they sell merch, real merch, and UFC doesn't have merch. And
but you know, UFC fighters in the 360 deal though.
No, that again, like you want to talk about renegotiating contracts? Those are people that can't renegotiate contracts.
Right, you know how they talk about indie workers bad. Hey, UFC only about this much higher.
Yeah.
For getting their heads knocked in.
What do you think about their turnaround versus a WWE superstar's turnaround? Again, that's where it fluctuates. Like, granted, their UFC fighters are already grossly underpaid, but they only get to fight 3 to 4 times max a year. The WWE wrestlers have to do it day in and day out, I should say. I was almost going to say week in and week out, but it's day in and day out because live events, even though they've agreed to scale back on the C-tier city and town live events, still that means you just cross out 2 live events a week and hope that equates to a lighter schedule. I mean, if anything, with this, new deal, if you're not, we're going to renegotiate people's contracts in terms of salary pay, like at least cover their fucking expenses, because now you won't have to worry about a ratings war in terms. That's what I mean, like the whole advertising. And that's why USA agreed to 3 hours back in 2012, was there was an extra hour of advertising. And Nick Khan last year said, or because I listened to the Town podcast that he was on, he said it could be 5 hours, 8 hours. It's whatever advertisers are willing to pay. We're willing to put on a show as long as advertisers are willing to give us money to keep the show going. And it sounded stupid when he said it in terms of the show can be 5 hours, but he's saying on the surface is, the show's 3 hours because so-and-so is going to pay to have a TV spot during that time. So-and-so is going to pay us to market this, during commercial breaks. And USA, I think it's a lot more advertising in the last 10 years than they did during the prime years. Because remember, that was the whole point of the Attitude Era, is that they were making so much money that USA and TNN at the time, which became Spike, felt beholden to like pay big up front and hope the advertising money would come to them. And then when wrestling died, in terms of flatline, I should say, from its ultimate peak, they're like, this isn't worth the price that you want. And that's why I had that, ruthless aggression PG era period of different advertisers. But real quick, so this was from Variety in September. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed, but sources say the new deal is worth roughly 1.4 billion, up from the 1 billion Fox paid in 2019. So they basically got the same deal on a cable network instead of a primetime network. And yeah, but when you think about cable,
I need extra, bro.
But when you think about SmackDown going to Fox now 5 years ago, the landscape was still changing in terms of live TV versus streaming. That's been going on the last 7-8 years. And now going back to USA, where it's just going to average the same amount of numbers, and Fox and USA isn't going to complain about the ratings like Fox was. Fox legit felt like they were, what's the saying? I was misled, bamboozled, led astray. Fox was like, I thought y'all do numbers, which is why Lachlan Murdoch, he basically said like it wasn't doing the numbers we expected it to. That's why I didn't renew them. He's basically trying to say like these fuckers are supposed to hit the numbers we want and they couldn't. So we're not going to give them that price tag.
Right. And then now the numbers really don't matter, because it's kind of like people just don't, it's crazy to see they're essentially building a Disney-esque empire and people are just giving them the money. Whereas I know Walt Disney fuming right now in his bathtub underneath Orlando. Like, bruh, I had to hustle. I had to have them crows and Dumbo. You know what I had to do? What Willem Dafoe said is the Green Goblin. You know what I had to sacrifice?
Do you know everything I've sacrificed? And even the dude in the wheelchair, it's kind of
like, bro, I had to get it out the mud, bro, to make us the biggest selling entertainment company in history. Now it's kind of like people like this WWE thing. I'm seeing the numbers, and this silly thing that people always talked about for years, which is pro wrestling, is now a multi-billion dollar entity, which is crazy to say. I never thought I'd see that. Never. I never thought I'll see it be where it is right now.
And it's, again, this isn't based off how well creative's doing.
It certainly isn't.
Because bad movies make money all the time, or tend to, I should say. Even bad movies can make money. Jurassic World Dominion made fucking money. I haven't seen it, but it looked like a piece of shit, and it's still made. The one that's
coming out, the remake, is about to make millions.
Yeah, it's gonna make money because it's, again, name recognition. WWE. I remember watching Raw when I was or WrestleMania, I should say. Because again, they never know the name of the shows. They just think WrestleMania because that was the name from the hottest period in wrestling.
That's pretty good,
and that's why they keep a racist man who can't bend over to save someone from a car around. Like.
What do you mean bend over?
Like, give me your hand, brother. Pulling someone from the wreckage. Like, he can't bend his back.
All right, so I'll say this. I understand why they keep bringing Terry. First of all, if he show up in Tampa, the
He
laugh I
is
want, the laugh I want to let out in that
just a
arena,
car ride away, brother.
bro.
No,
The
he's gonna be
laugh.
at the event. Like, I didn't know y'all had an event today. That's crazy. I mean,
Well, being that the liar he is, definitely. Just don't let his son drive him to the arena. Both of them won't get there. Keep up the good work. That's two less.
does he
In the
drive
words
like?
of New Jack. No, he don't. I definitely don't drive under the influence. Stop it. I'm really trying to tap into my Roman. All right, my Roman Pierce. That's why I drove crazy like that to my.
Yeah, that's
Don't
what.
listen
To
to
be
me.
honest, no. When Amp and Joe had said that, I'm like, well, I've been told I'm a bad driver, and if they say you're a
Yes,
bad driver, are people from California bad drivers? Like,
absolutely. Let's move
it's
on.
like, are we the problem?
It's us. How many hit and runs happen, unfortunately, in California? A day. Like, yeah, we are the worst
Is that where
drivers
Brandy
in the
had
country.
hers? Is that where Caitlyn Jenner had hers?
I think more than likely they from
Yeah.
Cali, so that make more sense. But that's kind of wild for those hit and runs. That's like, when you was going 130 because they was like
Wasn't
in
he?
business.
No, the Hulk Hogan one. The Nick Hogan one was even in LA, wasn't it?
I don't know. I thought it'd be in Daytona or something.
No, I think it was Southern California. I thought.
Well, they got alcohol in Southern
You think I'd
California too.
remember it, but I just remember it
It's
on the
the
news that day. What was the? Oh, I listened to the Wiretap where you and Eve talked about the day Michael Jackson had died, which was the NBA draft in 2009. Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn going back to back to the Wolves. Which do you know after the Jordan Hill pick, my dad, my brother, maybe his girlfriend, and I we went to go see Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
so everybody had a sad day that day.
And
All right,
what?
cool.
You know what? I didn't. I was barely. No, I was 14. I think I still couldn't tell what was a bad movie or not. And knowing that, like
The
the writer strike.
balls.
No, I
I
know
was
that
about to
was
say,
bad. No, I
yeah.
know that was bad. But just not knowing that, like the writer strike killed that movie, like it killed Quantum of Solace in the same year. But yeah, Michael Jackson
Well,
died. Farrah
that was a
Fawcett died
tough
the
movie
same day,
experience.
which no one cared about,
And then
unfortunately.
my dude, Icy Clean died too the same day.
Billy Mays. And
No,
I
I think he
sent
was
you
like a
the.
week later.
It was in the same span. It was in the
It
same.
was Steve McNair. Steve McNair was like a day or the same day.
That's
As
an even
like,
worse story. Jeez.
don't let Random Max talk about that.
Is that one of Amp's favorite topics?
Oh yeah, he said the 9 did him in.
Anyway, check out Random Acts of Podcast. You and Amp do the bonus episodes. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Safe House. Gotta make it down. If I go to the Safe House, what should I do? Are whites allowed at the Safe House?
I'm pretty sure because B-Dub probably gonna pull up. He's got to get you a San Francisco 49ers rug.
But I gotta make it myself, right? Because that's the point of going there.
But I think it's worth the experience.
No, I agree. It'd be something cool to try, but I'd probably like, I'd look at you like, damn, you do this for real? Like,
Yeah, Jesus, bro. The carpenter, except for now we got power tools. So if you try to do it, just don't make the 9 look like a G, which it kind of does. Anyway, turn it upside down. It's a 9 now.
wow, look at you.
Yeah, so closing remarks for this. If I'm the talent, listen, this is what the actors is talking about, by the way, too, during the writer's strike. How we get residual pay. Because now it's like, all right, you're not getting residual pay, obviously, from TV when you was on the USA Network. But now it's the case of if you live on TV, it's like, should I be getting, little something extra? All I'm saying is this is the same thing that the writer is totally different things, but the actors are asking for a kickback.
It's the same thing in terms of, because again, I always tell people, if you care about CM Punk so much, listen to Art of Wrestling with him and Cabana, because CM Punk had said when the network was launching, Randy Orton went up to him and said, how our pay-per-view payday is going to come? And CM Punk's like, I'm asking him because we get profits from the pay-per-views. So if pay-per-views aren't $50 a month anymore, they're $9.99. Who gets a percentage of that $9.99? And again, how can we tell people watched for the pay-per-view that much? I mean, up for that month.
And you can't get your analytics.
And what do you say? Vince McMahon did the ha 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 ha.
He letting you know, I know the numbers. You ain't gonna know the numbers.
And that's what Netflix has been doing, which is again why the writers striked. Because how do I know if my show got watched? We tell you your show got watched. You're telling me, but how do I know for sure?
Because now, remember in my time, not to cut you off, we had the box office numbers in the paper. Or if you watch the E! Channel, like I used to do religiously, it'll tell you these are the movies that made money this week.
That's Sunday. Why movies still matter in terms of today like that. And that's why less movies are made and only certain kind of movies are made. We'll talk about the Oscars in a minute. But yeah, you're right. But like, that's the only way to gauge something entertainment-wise is box office. You brought it up the point with like the Taylor Swift concert. Like she made $2 billion off her tour, and then she made $50 million from the movie. And again, Beyonce made a lot off of her tour and made a good amount off her movie. What's the Drake tour look like? Again, I know he had a successful tour too, but still, like we always talk about this, and that's why Nadalak was so smart when he said, "You can't make money off of streaming. I already outsell you by selling a physical CD." Versus the money you make off of streaming, because that's $20 in my hand directly versus 2,000 streams you might get on one day from Spotify.
How they kept ROH a little afloat too.
Yeah,
because they did pay-per-views, but the buy rate wasn't as high as their live shows. But they still sold the DVDs on the back end.
But that's what shut down TNA as it was going to Impact. They cut out pay-per-views because they were not getting any live attendance and just made TV tapings. Again, the whole rise and fall of TNA was you go to Orlando to see TNA. They tried live touring and it bombed during those Hogan Bischoff years. And now they do a lot better in terms of going to certain areas for a pay-per-view / TV taping. But that model has not a lifespan, but it has a structure to it. You have to hit the same areas over and over.
And they moving around a lot this year. I'm like, oh, they in New Orleans, Orlando, obviously where they came from.
But it's knowing your means.
Yeah, so they going around. They doing a territory system. That's all it is. Like, this our territory. They doing a ticket sales. The pay-per-view, I think Hard to Kill did pretty well as far as the ticket and the pay-per-view. So again, we put TNA over for a reason. Second best company in America, by the way.
You do it more so than me. I don't do it as much. Modern day, I should say.
Because I'm trying to get a job too. Let me not be biased. I'm not like these dweebs that just want to talk about it because they hope to get an interview. No, I'm trying to actually get a job at TNA.
You should. You could probably do the backstage.
I could do something with TNA. Trust me. It's not like, you
could be Ernest the Cat Miller's son as the GM.
All right, so anyway. Yeah, so I think I should get a job with TNA.
I thought you would be all for that. That's your go.
Bruh, I'm not a huge, and this is no disrespect, I'm not a huge James Brown stan like him.
Okay.
That's what it was. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying I thought you were.
I like Ernest the Cat, but I'm saying I'm not
No, that you are James Brown like him. Fan as well.
In what way?
I don't know.
He would have been a great wrestler. His intergender matches would have went platinum. What was the mixed tag tournament? I seen that in person too.
My God, mixed match.
I was there for SmackDown 2018.
You're saying he does the Deacon Jones, when you hit a man or a woman, you got to specify that it's equal rights.
Or our guy from 007 in The Rock.
That's still the trippy because he doubled down on Barbara Walters. Do you still stand by those statements? He said, "Well, I said what I said, didn't I?"
Right. Or good slapping. No, but he was telling her you can get it too.
Every good woman needs a good slap every once in a while. Yeah, it's like
when a woman is talking too much,
and that's why he lives in the Bahamas the rest of his life.
Yeah, but you can't slap them women. They'd chop your.
I think that's why he lived there.
They would chop your damn hand off. with a machete. Is Barbara Walters still with us?
No, they've both passed. Her and Sean Connery have both passed.
You know what's
I think
weird?
her before him, I think.
I think it was him. Hold on. Because I think he got up out of here in 09.
It was 2020. It was 2020 or 2021 because he died within the COVID era.
Let's see.
But Barbara Walters, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. On Halloween, too, of all days. That's crazy. Okay. I think I want to leave.
The funniest trivia about him is he only agreed to do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because he felt like an idiot after passing on Lord of the Rings.
He didn't want to do Lord of the Rings.
He didn't want to do Lord of the Rings. I believe they offered him Gandalf, and he thought it wasn't going to work, and he thought it was ridiculous, and he saw it made a shit ton of money and won Oscars, and he was like, I feel like a damn fool. So he agreed to do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is one of my favorite bad movies, though.
Well, I'll be damned. Barbara Walters passed in 2022.
Oh wow! So you were right, him before her. For some reason, I thought she was long ago.
If I go before you, that's the only way you can avoid my Walter chop. Speaking of promos, what I said, he was talking. Said you.
That whole promo. We're not gonna do a Raw recap because a lot of the show was garbage, but that whole promo was like, you know, respect. Again, his accent is very like, I'm terrified. You know, Seth, we haven't met very often, you know.
That was my first time ever hearing him talk. So I was like, oh, yeah, he got a long way to go before he get that title. All y'all talking about him getting the title. No, that accent's still there and it's heavy.
It was the scene from Inglourious Bastards when they're in the bar with the three. And Jimmy.
He's Austrian, right?
Yeah. He has a Schwarzenegger Austrian accent, yeah.
So, yeah, him and Arnold Schwarzenegger having a conversation would be hilarious.
You watched the Schwarzenegger documentary, right?
Loved it.
I didn't watch it.
Why not?
I don't know. I didn't watch the Stallone one either.
Just the brother Stallone one was so damn boring. It lets you know. It's like, you know, they had a rivalry. It lets you know why Arnold won. He's way more entertaining just cutting regular shoot promos. And it wasn't like on himself.
No, well, I mean, that's why he became governor, like, because he could talk. Like,
well, and because it's not that hard to become governor of California. Don't let me start.
Fair enough. No, you are a smart man by saying that again. I know you want to do Meet the Press.
Yeah, this ain't the podcast for it, but it ain't that hard. All you gotta do is just say, especially in California, just fool most of the people.
I'm going to raise the taxes.
Just as long as you got the money in California, they'll come to them dinners. That's all I'm gonna say.
But no, when Stallone did a CBS Sunday Morning thing to promote Tulsa King, you could tell that again he's not a charismatic guy off screen, and you can see that's why. Again, Arnold was the bigger star, even though he couldn't speak the language. And Stallone, being American, could barely speak the language as well. You know, that's the thing. Like when the guy was like, "So you tried out for The Godfather, didn't get a role," and he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Why not?" He said, "They said it wasn't Italian enough. Me, not Italian enough." You know,
no, you're OD Italian, so you're like
because I think he was supposed to play the guy who they kill. Because they think he was the snitch. You know what I mean? The guy who they shoot when they say, leave the gun, take the cannoli. He's supposed to play the guy who gets shot. The guy who's...
What would you want that role?
It was just a role. It wasn't like it was just like him, because this is prior to Rocky.
No, I know that, but...
Yeah.
And also, I got to remember, I'm being ignorant right now as an actor. You got to kind of take the roles. I mean, don't take all the roles.
Well, it was a predominantly Italian movie.
Except for Robert
Duvall, James Caan too.
Robert De Niro in the second one.
No, he's half Italian. He's Irish Italian, yeah.
But what they said in Goodfellas,
the character in Goodfellas is primarily Irish, and again, De Niro's. When you look up De Niro's backstory, he's a mixture of a lot of things. It's primarily Italian, Irish. It's a mixture of other European. cultures.
And if you check him at night,
But then he had a fondness for a certain type of culture. Obviously, it was
you
You say,
you might be Bobby De Niro the second.
I don't know. I've been called that. I've been called Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro.
Yeah. You might have a third last name. I'll just say that, not to put all your business out there.
But no, say it.
Nah, bro.
Oh no, I know you mean my government. Well, that's a real Irish. No. I'm saying like that last name, which is ironic because it's the guy we talked about a few weeks ago. His last name. I'm like, how many black men have a last name like that? It's just, that's why. That's one reason why Power didn't make sense to me when his name is James St. Patrick. I'm like, this show should not exist. No black man has the last name St. Patrick.
It's very possible. I shouldn't have the last name Banks, but how did I get that last name?
No, that's something like we're not gonna get again. This is not. We're not gonna.
Oh no, February 1st, we're gonna have that conversation. Y'all join us for that. And then March we'll talk about.
I have an idea for February. I'll talk about it in a couple minutes. Right. No, but I mean the Netflix thing. They announced that Mr. $7 himself, Dwayne Johnson, has joined the TKO.
No, it's still Rock.
No, but that's the thing. It came with full ownership of the Rock trademark, and everyone knows. You listen to this show the last
almost
3.25 years. No, I hate Dwayne Johnson. I hate his movies. I hate his movie choices. I hate his Instagram.
Wait, no, you never said that about his movies.
I can only probably legit love, and I don't want to count the Fast and Furious ones.
Okay, so let's do Pain and Gain.
I never finished Pain and Gain.
The Rundown.
It would be The Rundown.
Yeah.
Walking Tall is okay, but it's not like a good movie. Again, it's one of those like I would put it in that class of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and The A-Team, like a movie that I know is not that good, but I like to watch.
There are 18 references in a month. That's hilarious. I might as well watch it tonight besides Four Brothers.
Four Brothers. See, again, last week I talked about Mark Wahlberg. I think that's one of my favorites of his is Four Brothers.
That line, it's been 19 years. That line is going to be in my mind forever.
Again, that Random Acts, they talk about Four Brothers when they said you love Four
Brothers.
That's
because Joe hates Mark Wahlberg.
No, every one that hates Mark Wahlberg is justified because he did commit a hate crime in the 90s. He said he could have saved 9/11, which is what's crazier than that.
That's a rib. He didn't say that.
No, he did.
I know, but he was joking with y'all.
He was basically what he said was because he said he was supposed to be on that plane initially and he had to reschedule his flight. But what he had said was,
McFarlane.
Do you think they bonded over that during the making of Ted?
So imagine, God forbid, if both of them was on the plane, bro. We wouldn't.
Oh my God, are you really gonna feel like we would have been robbed of Ted if like?
Bro, you know how
a lot of things, to be honest. A lot of things. Do you want to live in that alternate universe? Just for a day?
Every day is an alternate universe for me, bro.
That is
Kang. Kang without the white woman. I'd be like, look, this is what happened if he would have got on the flight.
The Martin Luther King reincarnation has a white woman. So was he right or wrong?
See, one day I'm gonna have a conversation about that dude looking like Martin Luther King. Because see, I got 10 foil. My eyes be open, bro. Stuff just don't happen.
Are you trying to say that he's a descendant, or that people can, or that we can? If I die 40 years from now, someone can look like me.
Yeah, it's a variant.
No, not variants. I mean, like, I don't want to say like
reincarnated.
Well, it's reincarnation in a way where like the body's able to regenerate. It's just a different soul inside.
Then that's called a clone.
Oh, I know it's technically called clone, but I'm not saying scientifically. I'm just saying naturally. Like,
no, we all have variants. Like they say, so it's like somebody looks like you in the world.
Yeah,
that's a variant because how everybody are.
The doppelganger. Yeah.
So that's his. Like it's just, and then this is like what 8 days after his birthday. Y'all don't think that's suspicious? Y'all don't find that suspicious?
Okay, okay. Back to it.
DC ain't that far from Maryland, even though he from
No
Atlanta.
shit, Sherlock. Like,
but that statue is in Atlanta. See, I'm cooking right now. The statue that with the internal torch.
now you're gonna be like,
and Martin.
now you're gonna be like, and Lamar Jackson was supposed to play for Atlanta, huh? Now you're really gonna take it to that level, like.
A lot of dumbass teams passed up on him, but yeah. Just like y'all passed up on Pat Mahomes. Go ahead.
No, I agree. And again, unfortunately, you can never say anything about the guy they picked because he went on to become like the NFL's biggest mental health advocate. So it's like, damn, we can't even say this guy's a bust because it's bullying.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you repeat the question? Yeah.
The Rock, but I never stopped calling him The Rock.
But don't forget, Mitch Trubisky went before Pat Mahomes. So who's the real idiot? So. All right. So The Rock said, "I'm thrilled to partner." Oh, this was Ari Emanuel. I think Ari Emanuel, who was The Rock's agent. And this is where, again, this guy who I shit on, I hate with a passion. I laugh at every time he has a failure. He played this so smart. He got in and out of wrestling in terms of having an actual successful career quicker than anyone has and ever will have.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. You said
he got in and out of wrestling in terms of having a successful career quicker than anyone has and ever has. And like, again, it's barely 7 years when you count 96 to 03.
Oh, you talking about his run as far as how good it was?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm saying like to show up in 96, become, if not the hottest, greatest, the second greatest, because again, Stone Cold was the one before him. But when your rival's Stone Cold in terms of popularity, mainstream dominance, you're a success story. And it ends in 03 in terms of a full-time basis. And you don't want to count everything after 03 in terms of the comebacks and all that. But 96 to 03 is impressive, whereas, people could say Austin had the same run too in terms of in the ring, but he had a decade in the business prior, studying Steve and all that. But no one cares about the year and a half he was as Flex Cabana. It's Rocky Maivia when he shows up, he leaves as Hollywood Rock. And to go to Hollywood again and, slowly rise the ranks as he did with the WWE produced action movies, then the Disney movies, and then Fast Five taking off, and that catapults him to superstardom. And now we have the guy who is on a board of the company he used to work for because his agent and then his childhood friend, Nick Khan, are the ones in control. Like, he played this game smarter than the guy who married the boss's daughter. And that's the crazy part. And the guy who married the boss's daughter had to do it for 8 more years after this guy in terms of a weekly, in-ring career.
And he had to rely on this business for him to even get some bread, some notoriety.
Because Hollywood was not picking up his phone calls.
Yeah, no, after Blade Trinity, I ain't picking up the phone either. So with The Rock, because listen, again, Vince called you The Rock, I'm gonna call you The Rock. So I've been calling him The Rock, even though his pops is Rock. God bless Rocky Johnson. There you go.
He wasn't calling him The Rock when he made Be Cool, which is one of their
that's one of my favorite movies ever.
One of the reasons they had the fallout. Oh, when he does the Bring It On scene.
Yeah, the Matthew Vaughn thing. Not Matthew Vaughn, Vince Vaughn. When he was like, "Let's order some Roscoe's." He's like,
because
when he talked about
playing a white guy who thinks he's black. Yeah.
He said, "Hey, you better be on syrup. You better be on the syrup on that chicken." But
wild ass movie. Be Cool. Wild ass movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Entertaining, but wild.
I've seen that movie so many times and I watch it now. I think it's 20 years old.
Because it's Christina Milian. I know.
No, it's just fun. It's a funny ass movie.
No, and movies about Hollywood and then the movie and music entertainment businesses are great movies to watch. Because again, like John Travolta's character is like, making movies sucks. I'm going to go into the music business. And James Wood's like, this is the worst business to be in.
That's one.
Because she's Well, she's literally in the 360 deal with Vince Vaughn. Like that's what that movie's about. Like he's Carl
He was
Crawford,
Suge.
like the Stallion.
He was Suge Knight. But yeah, that jabroni too. But also too, that's one of the few times cancel culture has actually worked. Is James Wood, great actor
James,
for right here.
Great, I was gonna say one of the great actors who real life piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they said, nah, we can't have you on set, bro. You gonna up here and talk about that QAnon shit.
Yeah, no, but no, again, this Ari Emanuel, who was the guy that told Dwayne Johnson to star in Doom at some point in his career, is the guy who now owns
With Tez, ironically.
who now owns and runs WWE and the UFC, which again, The Rock's next project is The Smashing Machine, the movie about the UFC fighter Mark Kerr. And I can't forget the day where we were told that Nick Khan and The Rock were best friends since childhood growing up in Hawaii, and that the creator of his show, The Young Rock Show, was Nick Khan's sister. To me, that was just a real like, ain't this some shit? But and again, and for Nick Khan to play it so smart, where he's the agent at CAA. Ari Emanuel starts William Morris or goes because he fucking hates CAA, and they're warring talent agencies. The two big talent agencies in Hollywood are William Morris, which became Endeavor, and then CAA.
And CAA being the biggest one in the world.
Yeah, and I have the book about the founding of CAA. I got to get back to reading it, but
oh yeah, I might need to borrow that off you, brother.
I just know at some point in the book, Ari Emanuel talks about how CAA screwed themselves over by becoming big time, and that's why William Morris took off. And it's still a bidding war because all these other smaller talent agencies are folding or getting bought out by CAA or Endeavor / William Morris. But that's crazy. Again, a guy who he's Switzerland, while these two countries should be on warring sides, but they latched on to him, and he's the guy who reaps all the rewards. Granted, Hollywood, like I said, has kicked his ass in the last 5 years, but enough that WWE Raw and specifically is going to Netflix, where he has kind of dipped his toe in with the Red Notice movie. He's not locked into a deal like other people are over there. I mean, at least as of right now, we'll have to wait and see, because his new film Red One is an Amazon movie, which will have a theatrical release. But it's to me, this is me giving him props because he played this smarter than Triple H did. Like you said, like this is a guy who had to stay in the wrestling business to get to a point of power, which this guy just bought. And the XFL thing's a joke. Let's be real. It's just
play money for him now. After today, it's play money.
Well, no, just
to be honest, after today, his movie money is play money.
No, because that's the thing where that's your spotlight still. That's how you stay in the public conscious. Like Tom Cruise could have stopped acting 10 years ago, and he would have had a full catalog. But what's he want? He wants a spotlight still. Otherwise, the Jay-Z thing. Why he's still doing this if you have nothing to prove? Oh, because I can, or blah blah blah.
What do you mean Drake?
Anyone who's successful at a certain point, but I mean someone who's already into their 50s and 60s. Yeah, not someone who's below 40. And again, it's not because The Rock loves acting that much because he's that good of a fucking actor. It's he's someone who wants to be known worldwide to this day. That doesn't stop for him. That hunger doesn't stop for him, ironically. For a guy who eats as much as he does, it doesn't stop.
I mean, I'll say this, man, before we transition over. To see this dude from BMIV in 96, 97, when I was watching wrestling, I started watching wrestling, 95, 96-ish. I was small watching it. That's when I started watching the NBA as well. And all sports, like I had an idea what was going on. To see him from then to now, some things you gotta just be like, hey man, you gotta shake your hand to whoever you believe in, God, Allah, the devil, whoever. You gotta just salute, because some things you just can't write. Like this dude that went from Rocky Maivia to the corporate champion, to the people's champion, to Hollywood Rock, to then becoming one of the highest grossing movie stars in history. You can't write that script up. And then now, let me tell y'all something. He's still doing the whole head of the table stuff. Again, he ain't in shape. And then if they do have a match, it's bigger than just a wrestling match for the fans now. This is a
No,
business move.
no. Graham had the great tweet. Shout out to Graham. Check out Public Enemies. He said the match should be The Rock's seat on the TKO board versus Roman's title, like a bet it all, winner takes all match. Like,
Oh, and I gotta shoot you because I need that. Oh, I can't say no on YouTube. I need that tape. I need that seat, bro. That seat worth more than that WWE title.
no,
With
I'm
all due
about to read
respect.
because this is again in Variety. Variety. So this is the article. WWE added that it's also entered into service as a merchandising agreement with Johnson. Under that agreement, Johnson will provide promotional licensing and other services to the company. Johnson also gains ownership of the once trademarked name The Rock as part of an intellectual assignment agreement. Per the SEC filing for the announcement, Johnson will also receive just over $30 million in TKO stock. So he gets $30 million in stock. That filing also revealed that Johnson received $491,000 from royalties in 2023. He barely got
Wait, how much?
491,000.
That's it?
They didn't
And
sell him
royalties?
it was probably just one or two shirts, yeah, and whatever deal he had prior. But again, and maybe that was because he didn't own the full licensing to The Rock yet. So
Yeah, because that's 4 quarters. But still, even then for 4 quarters, that's it. I would think it'd be like 700. So then, if he
following
doing that, how much is the bloodline getting for merch sales every quarter?
200,000. Oh, that's a year.
Each?
No, together. Together.
Nah, that's hot. Yeah, we gonna have to talk. We gotta talk turkey. If all of us all together, wait, it was 4 or 5 people in the bloodline last year when they had some of the highest merch sales ever. If we gotta split 200,000 5 nah, bro, we gotta talk turkey.
This
That's not
article,
how
this
it
is how
works.
funny it, but this is how funny. This article says, widely speculated that Johnson will return to the WWE for a match against his cousin and current WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. That would be his first match in WWE since 2016. They count the 8-second match against Eric Rowan. I mean, I know it's a match, but come on.
Hold on 1 second, Davis. I gotta pull this on the screen. This is what Vin said. So the Rock started
NXT is
being a new
live right
GM.
now.
No, but the Rock's being that is
no, they've kind of groomed her for this role on TV the last couple weeks, and that's obviously wrestling didn't take to her. She had bad injuries at the start, which doing before you start, that's a horrible hand to start with. And you could just tell she doesn't have it charisma wise. And I'm not saying to compare to him, just in a general sense. And I think that's why she tried the acting thing first, and nothing really took off. But when your father's a guy like him, doors open. And you were in that boat, you do the same thing. If I was in that boat, I do the same thing. She's taking the advantages of the opportunity she gets. And who knows, maybe this GM role will work over time. She might develop personality and character bit. The whole what the fuck were they called? It was the stupid ass group she was in with Joe Gacy and the guys that were the grizzled young vets, are the grizzled young vets, I should say. They went back to being that after they were the dyad, which Shawn Michaels, like I said, is probably one of the worst creatives in wrestling history within the last 5 years. He can't come up with shit.
But
It's
no,
insane.
it's not even his fault. What I
It
always
is.
say. No,
You
people don't know how
remind
to-
me of
outside
me. Here's what you remind me of someone from the 90s. Here's who you should be. You remind me of this character from TV.
Outside of TNA, people don't know how to get themselves over. If you look at TNA, no character is the same as another character. Even Dick Namath is something totally different from Moose, obviously. Different from the Rascals. Different from Chris Bay and them. Everybody is different in that way. Whereas even AEW, people are different in their way. They find their own personality. It's just the work rate is just horrible because I don't need to get into that. But with WWE, it's more so you have a look because, like I always say, they there because they have a look. If you got a look in WWE, you don't have to be creative because your look gets you over. That's where, again, now more than ever, it's sports entertainment and more so entertainment.
Well,
More than
under
ever.
Shawn Michaels' vision, under Shawn Michaels' crooked vision, it's definitely about the looks.
Well, do I need to say some names? Miss
No, because
Parker,
she
Miss Parker.
aired you out on Twitter.
No, not her. I don't even care about that. Again,
I
she
know.
responded.
I just remember you laughing when I did that. Look how they massacred my boy.
Still one of the funniest nights of my life, bro. When I tell you the tears from everybody response had me in hysterics, I'm loving it. But at the same time, again, I got a response. Anyhow, but no, nobody knows how to get themselves over. Like Van just said, yeah, it's just ironic. Oh, your pops is now head of the table, quote unquote. But now you get this job today. I love it, bro. It's like, hey, man, that's how it's supposed. Like you just said, that's how it's supposed to work. Hey, I need y'all to do
Not
this
how it's
though.
supposed to. It's how it works, not how it's supposed to. Because really, again, I don't want to get in. We were just talking, but I don't want to get into the all men are created equal aspect because that's obviously not the case. But the game's rigged for the people who have the advantage, obviously, and she had the advantage way more than other people would.
Can't knock the hustle like Ho say, bro. Just hey, so this was going, and not even this is what we should do. Hey, this was going to happen. So I'm gonna get this job, right? But my daughter gonna get this job on TV. That's how it's gonna be.
Well, they had been teasing that. I think who knows if he had a real impact on that because she'd been doing these match announcements the last couple weeks because they realized again she can't wrestle. The Joe Gacy thing wasn't working, and NXT kind of needs an authority figure again. One of the highlights to me of SmackDown last week was Nick Aldis saying if Roman Reigns doesn't sign this contract, these men are going to have a triple threat match for the vacant title. I'm like, does someone develop a brain and creative? When the fuck did we come up with real ideas all of a sudden? I mean, god damn, strip the title. Where was this? Anytime during the last 20-something months. Like,
when was this last night?
Where was this 10 years ago when Brock Lesnar first went and said, I don't show up until this day and this day and this day. So yeah.
Well, you gonna tell him he got to vacate the title?
No, hell, I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying in general.
Like all the people that talk about, oh, he a part timer, they should take the title off of him. You go do it.
Well, that's why Chris Jericho went up to him and he said, "Give me a kiss, pussy. Give me a kiss."
Because a 5'10" alcoholic gonna tell me what to do. Canadian alcoholic gonna tell me what to do. Okay, cool.
Baby.
Yeah, you gonna do it. Come on, baby. Ask him. Yeah, you ain't gonna be breathing it.
But no, it's again, I have to give The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's both names. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, as he was once called. Do I care about the match of him and Roman Reigns? I still don't think it's this year. Obviously, he's got bigger things on his mind to get ready for a match. So
more than ever, bro.
Simmer the fuck down.
More than ever, you could tell because when they asked him on First Take, he talked about it. I said, "Oh yeah, we're a year away."
Yeah,
because how he was talking like,
but then
next year.
But
thank God.
But the rumor is WrestleMania is supposed to be here, and you want to have that match here? Like,
oh, his bone's gonna be brittle.
I mean, shout out to my guy Double G. I think I haven't listened to his podcast yet, but I think they said, "Is this match supposed to be a Saudi Arabia match?" And I'm like, "Damn, that's how you really know he's about the money." He's like, "I want to face Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia, where we can really get this money."
I didn't even think about that. That's what they usually actually put on the big matches.
I had seen that in the Fight Game Media podcast. They have a network, I should say. They have a bunch of podcasts over there. But yeah, I saw their clip saying that. I'm like, I mean, that's why they did the Roman matches they did over there in terms of Brock, Logan Paul, LA Knight. But yeah.
I mean, that's fire too if they actually do it then. I mean, that gives them some time to get in shape, maybe. But how he was talking on First Take, yeah, people, this ain't happening no time soon. He was just like, yeah, we gonna see. And he basically said, we gonna see without saying we gonna see.
And let's not forget, again, we've been going political a lot this episode, but him being a public face like Saudi Arabia is okay. I've been to Saudi Arabia. They're the good people of Saudi Arabia. They've learned. Like, that's another PR thing to like check off his checklist of like, see,
you know why he's saying that? He want that Lambo truck because I heard if you cool over there, they'll buy you a Lambo truck or a Benz like tomorrow.
Anything. Again, the sports washing exists. Again, Live Golf exists for that reason. They could buy the NBA if they wanted to. They could buy all these leagues if they wanted to. They could buy the world. Literally, is what the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund's about, which is insane because it's all about that.
Did you cooking?
But
so y'all not gonna see him at the Rumble.
No. The Rumble
before we
Nation Chamber.
He
He might show up at Mania, but it's not a match. I'll say he does the match for the next year like he did a decade ago.
Yep. But, and besides that, y'all gotta still remember, bro, he ain't a wrestler. It's just like, bro, he ain't got time to get in no shape.
Yeah.
1,001 things going. I got movies, production team, this.
The rumor is, not just one, but the next project is supposed to be this UFC movie that's supposed to either start pre-production soon. Or again, that's next. Which is why we skipped over last week the Fast and the Furious rumor. We might get to that in the next week or two, or when a bigger development happens. But the Hobbs movie again, which was supposed to be on his docket, like I told you, is probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he wants the Fast franchise to end. That would be again his level of pettiness. I out survive Shawn Michaels and Triple H in terms of owning the company that they want to control. So I'm gonna out survive Vin Diesel by continuing to make movies for the franchise that he wanted control of. That's how his playbook works.
And Moana, it's been working. Is that how you not say Moana?
The live action Moana. See, I can't pronounce Normani, but
you can do Moana. No, so that's actually being filmed this year. That, and then he got that kickbox, or he got that UFC movie. Yeah. He ain't touching the ring, people. Y'all just going to be upset. I'm happy. I don't care, but he got 2 movies that start this year. Ain't no wrestling, bro.
But speaking of movies, there's a segue. The Oscar nominations for today. Again, busy morning. Busy first 4 hours of the morning. From Netflix and WWE getting in business. The Rock buying to WWE. TKO. Again, the whole UFC part of it, like, yeah, he showed up to the UFC for the BMF belt, and he's making this movie about the UFC, but he doesn't give 2 fucks about like owning the UFC part. It's all about the WWE part for him. But the Oscar nominations were today as well. And which category do you really want to spend time on for you specifically? What's the one you want to kind of dissect?
Yeah, obviously, everybody, we ain't gonna sit up here and go through every single category. No, we'll talk about highlight nominations. They screwed that woman. And let me phrase what I'm saying. She shouldn't have got nominated. I mean, without question, you get nominated for Barbie. It's the third highest grossing movie in history. She did a hell of a job in the movie. Like that's the most puzzling. Like I've seen people talk about I'm about to call him Taylor Lautner. But Zach Efron. Yeah, him as
no. Okay. You want to start off with the Iron Claw? In terms of
not really.
Well, no, I mean the backlash, the first thing is the Iron Claw didn't get nominated. First of all, it was made for one core fan base, wrestling fans. Like what I said last week. Like, if you aren't a wrestling fan, this movie might hit you in a different way, in a real emotional way. In terms of like, I never knew this story. Wow, how powerful the story is. But I don't know what Sean Durkin's true intentions were in terms of like what he was trying to say with this movie, aside from like family's your own, even your own family can be your own enemy. You know what I mean? And because I don't know if he wanted to commentate on the business as much as he commentated on what this family was like, right? It's more a commentary on having a strict father than how shitty the wrestling business is. When that's really the story, to be honest, because that's why the father's so strict, is because it's the fucking wrestling business. I know he had his own upbringing too. We're not gonna spend too much time on it, but people saying Zac Efron should have been nominated or the movie should have been nominated. It had the look of an awards movie, but it was never meant to be an awards movie. We see those movies come in year in, year out, and the movies that got nominated are typical awards movies, and they're gonna go home empty-handed. But you were right. Because that was my main thing too, is that Margot Robbie did not get nominated for her performance
Greta didn't
as.
get nominated for best director. I'm like, dog, what y'all doing?
That's not a bigger strike in my opinion, but to direct something like that, because she did get nominated for best original and best adapted, because that was the thing they call it, an adapted screenplay, because it's a piece of IP. So if you adapt anything from something, it's an adapted screenplay. But to direct Barbie the way she did, which it isn't a movie with cool camera techniques or cinematography or shots, but it's a movie that is a director who can get performances out of people. And that's what that movie is. That movie is full of performances, comedic performances, dramatic performances, and Mark Robbie does both in that movie. And you and I talked about how the Oscars doesn't reward comedy. And I always say that they don't reward people for being charming, and that's a hard thing to act. And in genuine ways, be charming, be charismatic. That's why I'm a big fan of Gosling. And he got nominated, rightfully so. He's going to lose to Robert Downey Jr., which I don't think he should. And I'm not just saying that as a Gosling fan, but the Robert Downey Jr. performance, because the Robert Downey Jr. performance is a guy trying to act, and the Ryan Gosling performance is a guy who's like 9 times out of 10, a guy in that role, people are like, what an idiot, in terms of like, it's hard to be that silly, that funny, and again, do a musical number and then play a sympathetic character like he does at the end when he tells her like, I don't exist without you. But the Robert Downey Jr. performance is an actor who spent the last 10 to 15 years making a certain type of movie, wanting to take acting seriously, which is why that he said the stuff, he basically contradicted himself with like, the roles I was doing didn't mean nothing until compared to this. But then he said they never took my roles seriously in superhero movies. So like, which is it? You want them to give you credit for being Iron Man, but then you said that those weren't real movies compared to this movie. Like,
that's why he might be back on the dope, because that doesn't make any sense when he said that. And then my thing
never
is
talked
too
about the Golden Globes when he gave that horrendous speech. It was like, I don't want to say it was just one of the worst speeches I've ever heard.
Yeah, either because I can't even say he was maybe he is socially awkward, but he's done interviews in the past couple of years where he is kind of socially awkward in a way, but that speech was like, maybe past your bedtime, grandpa, or something else going on.
More so the stereotype of actors being pretentious and up their own ass. That's what it really came out to me. Like the guy he played in Tropic Thunder, that's who he was during that speech. The guy who took himself too seriously.
Because he's an actor, and I'm not trying to even give him no, I'm not trying to give him any fallback balls. It's just the fact of he's just very much so artsy actor type guy. So, like Davis just said, for him to go back and say, well, these movies, the movies you made $200 million off of ain't really, my cup of tea. But now we talked about this so many times. Now you're able to do whatever type artsy or actor movies now because the bills is paid. At one point for you, the bills weren't paid because you were blacklisted. So
notorious.
He was great as Tony Stark. Like, bro, he was phenomenal. Like everything he's done, he's been great. Chaplin, he was great. That was like his rookie year.
That was the thing. He started out 16 Candles. Was it Only You? And then Chances Are, like young teen heartthrob, Johnny Be Good. Ironically, he auditioned. No, he was on SNL for 1 year. He's one of those rare instances where someone was on the cast of SNL and didn't have a successful career on SNL, but had a successful career on Hollywood, just like Julie Louis-Dreyfus only had 1 to 2 years on SNL, and then nothing happened, and then Seinfeld happened. But famously, he's the son of a huge independent film figure. And like I said, he had some of the most notorious troubles a Hollywood actor can have. And he bounced back with one of the greatest comebacks of all time, Environment. And people rewarded that performance and applauded that performance. And then he does a few other films, like in Tropic Thunder. He gets the chance to play Sherlock Holmes as an American, which is still, again, I love Guy Ritchie. I like those movies. But it's just baffling that he does Watson. Like, he does one of the worst British accents, but still. And the first thing he does post Iron Man, post Avengers, is the Doctor Dolittle remake, and he sunk a whole lot of money in that movie, and that movie lost a whole lot of money prior to the pandemic. It's not like the pandemic killed that movie. No, that movie came and went well before the pandemic, even though it was the start of 2020 and that movie dropped. And that was supposed to like be his big deal thing, like first movie post Iron Man, and then nothing happens. There's a talks he already might go back to being Iron Man, and then Oppenheimer comes out. I mean, the news of Oppenheimer comes out, and he's in this cast of everyone else in Hollywood who's white is in this movie, and everyone kind of thought it would be a showy performance, but he gives a good performance, and just like Matt Damon gives a good performance in it, just like a lot of actors get good performances in it. But he has the showy part, he has the scene stealing part. But it's again, I only saw it the one time in the theater, and the whole time I'm like, man, I have not seen someone try to act this hard in a while. Like, whew, it's just a lot of like run. It's like Jimmy Butler playing basketball. Like, I get you play hard, but settle down. Like,
you know what it is for him too? He figures it's like now or never as far as the Oscar.
It's 100% that.
So you got to
he was nominated for Tropic Thunder, and they don't, like I said, we just said they don't respect comedy, and that's a great. Ironically, that's a great performance.
On top of another performance, on top of another performance. As Tristan just said,
it's a 3D performance.
Another dude. Yeah, it's like that's the variance right there. Australian playing a black man, Robert Downey playing a black man. That's
maybe Robert De Niro didn't play that role.
Well, he's nominated too for Best Supporting.
Yeah.
Surprise, y'all. So
there are a lot of surprises. Yeah.
I'll talk about animation. People were mad that the Ninja Turtles didn't get nominated. I'm not. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't expect to get nominated.
So it was The Boy and the Heron, which is a Miyazaki famous figure in animation. Studio Ghibli.
See that? Yeah.
Elemental, which was Pixar's film of last year. Nimona, which is a Netflix movie. Robot Dreams, which I think is a foreign film, and then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse won back in 2018. They won the best animated, and I don't see how you can't give it to them again, because I failed to rewatch Into the Spider-Verse before seeing Across the Spider-Verse, but and I had rightly compared it to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. But the first 20 minutes just about Gwen Stacy is pretty fucking awesome. And the main movie doesn't even start until after that. And then the main movie is like all the stuff with the Spot character is like super insane, but like in the best way, in terms of like the way like the animation turns into that black and white style, and probably one of the best voice cast, and all the surprise uses of Lego animation, like CGI, not hand-drawn animation, and then they incorporate the live action movies. Like, it's a phenomenal feat. And yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger note, like Dead Reckoning does, like Fast X does, where it's like, oh, this movie just sets up another movie, but it sets it up in the way where like I'm actually kind of like, holy shit, that's a good ending, a real Empire Strikes Back kind of ending. That's what it was going for, and it succeeded. But
and it's currently the most anticipated movie for most people.
Yeah, but they're still drawing it.
Yeah, well, because they're writer strike and all that. So I think they, I don't know if they're about to start doing voiceover work, but they close. But yeah, ironically, it was supposed to come out in March of this year.
A lot of things were supposed to come out this year.
It's crazy. I had to think about that. It's like if everything would have went according to plan, we'll be watching it in the next 2 months. And time is moving fast. But now, and this is the second time they get a pushback too. Because remember, both movies are pushed back. So
it was supposed to do the Mission Impossible thing where one year and the sequels the next year. Yeah. But you knew that was going to be a bigger issue for Spider-Verse, because again, the animation versus, like, you can shoot all Mission Impossible and then just cut it up into 2 movies. You legit have to draw the shit continuously and then start it and end it, which is a difficult feat in itself. But you could say Robert De Niro is in the best supporting actor category as well. But the best picture nominees are American Fiction, which I wanted to talk about. So you gave me shit about American Fiction. I already wanted to see American Fiction, which is a movie in which Jeffrey Wright plays the author who pretends to be white, writing about the Black experience, but then he writes about the stereotypical thug Black experience, and that's what the movie's about, which is very interesting concept. It was based on a book, and the guy who wrote and directed it is the guy who was responsible for the Watchmen episode about Hooded Justice, the origin of Hooded Justice, and Cord Jefferson. And he was a TV critic before becoming a screenwriter. So I had known about this movie before. Issa Rae's in the cast, Sterling K. Brown, Eric Alexander.
Sterling's nominated for Best Supporting too.
He is as well, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen this movie yet, but it's probably maybe in February. The only movies I'll watch that aren't new releases will be Black written, directed, or starring movies. There are especially ones I haven't seen. That's the thing, ones I haven't seen. Because you were trying to give me shit like, you need to watch this movie February 1st. I'm like, one, I already wanted to watch it. Two, I have to wait and see if it's going to be available then, because it went to wide release a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Like, I like Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright's one of our best actors. That's the thing. Like,
and he nominated for the first time, I think, for Best Actor overall.
Yeah. Or was it? Because he played Basquiat, but he wasn't nominated for that, I thought.
I didn't even know they had a Basquiat biopic.
This is when he was young. That was like, I think that was his breakout.
I didn't even know that.
But yeah, this is a big deal for Jeffrey Wright. The other Best Picture nominees are Anatomy. Oh my God, I can't even say it. Anatomy of a Fall, which is a French film. Barbie, which we had talked about. The Holdovers, which is on Peacock. That's a Paul Giamatti movie. Killers of the Flower Moon, the Scorsese, the DiCaprio, De Niro movie. Maestro, which again, typical Oscar movie. No, they reward you for trying at the Oscars.
Yeah, sure. And he's an Oscar darling, being Bradley Cooper.
100%. That's their guy who they don't love to reward, but they love to keep around.
Like John Williams.
They nominated him for Best Score for Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, and that's just a real, like, the guy's 90 and he was doing a score, and they're like, he gets in.
54th nomination, if I'm not mistaken. It's 54th.
But he does have some of the most legendary scores of all time. So I'm not mad at it. But it's that thing where, well, in the Best Actress category, again, they didn't nominate Margot Robbie, who should have been, but they nominated Annette Bening for the movie Naiad, which is the woman who swam, the length of the ocean from one spot to another. And
they made a movie about that?
Yeah. But and Annette Bening's the female Bradley Cooper. She's been nominated numerous times in the Academy and never awards her. And again, if you play someone real, they'll nominate you. So it's hard to be Barbie, who's a fictional character but if you have tape on Naiad, you can impersonate that someone and that gives you an Oscar nomination. Just the bullshit, which is why I'm not saying
the only time I'm cool with it is, again, King Richard, because he did a great job. That's it. The Last King of Scotland was good too, though. You can't front like that wasn't good.
I've never seen The Last King of Scotland, though, but I mean,
don't watch that. A great History Month. Yeah, don't watch that. I'm a mega hill. You say that you here to help me. You say that you are here to help me. What can you do for us?
Let me say the other ones real quick, just in terms of Past Lives and Poor Things were the other Best Picture nominations. But I want to talk about the visual effects. Yeah, so the best visual effects were The Creator, which does have some very good visual effects. That was the biggest positive about the movie, the John David Washington movie.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, that sounds familiar.
Which I didn't say this when we briefly talked about it. He wears Air Force Ones in that movie. In this movie, is like 2050 or 2070, and he has a crisp pair of Air Force Ones. And I'm like,
Keep blood.
well,
He
I
gonna
don't
have some nice shoes coming out of high water.
that's the first part. The second
Yeah.
part, the second part is in that world where radioactive cities exist and androids exist and all that, robots with skin faces. Do we still have sweatshops to make Air Force Ones like that? Do we
Yeah.
not, or is that supposed to be like a dead stock pair? And he broke it out on this day. I mean, Earl's in the chat. This might be a question for him. Like, do sneakers exist in the future? We know from Back to the Future, self-lacing sneakers exist, but but their future was our past. If that's crazy to say, but their future was our past.
Bruh, I don't think sneaker marks are ever gonna go out of style, bruh. Like the world is ended. Like literally, they in distant land of LA, and it's crazy that all these Armageddon movies happen in LA.
Well, futuristic LA is the best thing about. That's why Blade Runner's amazing.
There you go. That's a strong soul. That and the Jory ones. That's
that
what
would have been
everybody
an amazing scene. Is like that they had, after the bomb explodes in the crater, you see like a white pair of Air Force Ones untouched.
I was gonna say flying at the screen.
Oh, like it's De Niro in Casino.
Yeah, just do that. Just have some shoes just falling.
But no, that was when that didn't piss me off in the movie. But I'm just like, why does he have Air Force One? I'm like, was he on set that day? And they're like, and Gareth Edwards was like, John, David, just wear what you got on, because he was basically kind of wearing a modern day sweatsuit as well, a modern day tracksuit. Yeah. So I'm like.
And then I mean, how everybody felt like they was in cruise control with that movie. It felt like everybody's like, "Whoa, we're gonna do this thing today." Okay, cool.
Yeah, but Godzilla -1 is also nominated for best visual effects.
Turn that all the way up.
I haven't seen it yet.
Bruh. Yeah. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, LA Banks said go watch Godzilla -1. I gotta watch that again.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which fuck yeah, because all the animal people, even though I think some of that was practical, but also visual. Bulk Groot, Swole Groot with the wings. It was still one of my favorite things. And yeah, it just obviously
capitalize on that merch.
Yeah, but and obviously Rocket and the three friends, the other little critters, heartbreaking critters of the
bruh. Still my movie.
Sky?
Bruh, don't do it. I'm about to start crying.
But again, one of the best visual effects is the Oner set to No Sleep in Brooklyn fight scene, which rivals the Oner in John Wick Chapter 4, in which he has the shotgun that shoots fire as it's a crane Oner through the building he's in. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, great visual effects in that, especially the train sequence at the end, in which they make their way up the falling train. And Napoleon was also nominated for visual effects. Ridley Scott's Napoleon. But in best production design, Barbie, yes, because the Barbie world set's amazing. The fact that they did that all for real. I love practical sets like that. Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Cinematography, there wasn't really a big one for me. It'll probably be the guy for Oppenheimer, Hote van Hoytema. And he has done Christopher Nolan's past few films. He did Nope, which he kind of actually should have won, because the cinematography in Nope is fantastic, especially the last 30 minutes when they chase Jean Jacket, which is one of my favorite scenes of 2022. Best original song, the Ryan Gosling song should win. The I'm Just Ken song should win for Barbie, but the Billie Eilish song will probably win, and that song is terrible, as everyone agrees.
The one from Barbie?
It's the super sad one in Barbie, yeah. It's the one that plays at the end when she's having like the visions, and even the Dua Lipa song is way better than that song. And it's hard to make a catchy song. So
that soundtrack wasn't bad either.
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
The Lizzo song when she narrates her life is fucking hilarious and amazing. She's like, "Get it, Barbie," as like she narrates her everyday life. Like, you gotta put on your clothes. Like, I always like stuff like that. But yeah, it's again the Oscars are in March. Again, they pushed it from February to March the last couple of years, and COVID was one reason, but they also try to keep saying it's the more time to vote, but it's I don't know. Is there a movie that you wanted to see nominated that didn't get any nominated in any type of category?
They calling Tyrone
For what category? Best Picture?
everything. Visual effects, best actor, best actress, supporting, everything, best picture. If that was best picture, that'd be my vote.
I want to see real quick. Because I'm just trying to think.
Otherwise than that, everything else is cool because I guess like the movies that I watched last year was a great year, but the movies I seen last year definitely wouldn't get nominated for no Oscar. I do have to see American Fiction though. I have to see that.
Yeah.
I'm not watching no French movie. I ain't watching Maestro. I'm good. I seen
The
more.
French movie is supposed to be crazy because it's about a woman who's being charged with the murder of her husband because he falls from something. It's like they're trying to say she's guilty, but it might seem like he committed suicide. It's like one of those movies, like who's telling the truth.
Oh, okay.
There's also a movie about a concentration camp being, the woman who's the star of the French movie is the supporting actress in the concentration camp movie. They loved the foreign films this year, but anyway, let's end with the NFL playoffs. Which was your favorite game of last weekend?
By far the Bills versus the Chiefs, bro. Might have been a classic game. It's too early to really say, but overall it was great. Stephon Diggs definitely. We knew coming into the season he didn't want to be there, but if y'all needed proof, this was proof right here. Hey, if I'm him, I said it on. I think I told somebody. If I'm him, I would have went straight to Andy Reid after the game, like, give me a job. Let me come play for the team in the offseason.
Okay. So I said this about Stephon Diggs to Kiki. I'm like, is he really just Chris Paul? Is he the guy who can't get it done no matter where he goes, and it's always the other people's fault? Like, we agree Josh Allen has some talent, obviously. Like, he's not a bum. He's a guy who's on the precipice of being great. He's really good. He's not great. And obviously he can find these other guys. And the reason he can find the other receivers is because the defense's primary focus is to shut down Stephon Diggs, right? Like, going in, you don't want that guy to get open at all because he makes plays if he gets the ball. Or it's that part of, like, by Josh Allen knowing that guy is going to get locked up, he has to look elsewhere. So for him to complain about not getting touches or saying the quarterback's the reason he's not playing good, which is it? It's the Chris Paul thing of like, yes, I can make my teammates better, but when I have to show up in the playoffs, I don't do it. And it's funny because aren't the Buffalo Bills at this point the Los Angeles Clippers, the alley-oop era Clippers? Wouldn't you agree?
They definitely are reminiscent of Lob City just because
I had forgot Lob City. I'm like, what the fuck were they called?
Well, Lob City,
Thank you. Thank you, because I was dying. I want to be like, help me.
Losing City because the superior team played in the same arena. Now they got to leave and go to, they got a real nice arena being the Clippers, but still, ain't going to be no banners up there. It's going to be a whole bunch of like pictures and slideshows. I mean, I like the team because they got 4 Cali guys, but still, you ain't the Lakers, pal.
They are the Buffalo Bills. The Josh Allen Buffalo Bills are the Lob City Clippers, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, they might actually be like the 08 Celtics without the ring, just because you got a lot of tool guys.
But that's what the Lob City Clippers were. It was Blake Griffin, but he hadn't fully developed his game. He was slowly developing it. Chris Paul, again, all-time assist getter. DeAndre Jordan could just get boards and convert alley-oops, and then JJ Redick, corner 3 guy, Matt Barnes, defense guy. Again, that was a tool team. and they met their demise in the playoffs every time in the worst way. The Rockets,
The
famously,
Warriors.
and that, I mean, I guess it's probably worse for the Bills because they just lose to the same team. The fact that they can't just beat the Chiefs is more so of a testament. Is it that the Chiefs are that good against them, or that they just it's big? And look at the way they lose. They lose in close games, so that's the shitty part. Again, they lost this game because the kicker went wide right. They lost the game 2 years ago because they gave too much time to Pat Mahomes, which is like, I don't think that's fair
A second.
because
You can't even give him a second. Yeah.
just
Right.
like throws it, and Tyreek Hill was still on the team at that point. So as we talked about, like, does he still need to be on the team? And granted, I think someone who had commented on that video did say that Mahomes is trying to be like Tom Brady and make these guys receivers, that Tony's, Valdez-Scantling, Rice, like he's trying to make these guys receivers like Brady did. Like I might not have top tier receivers, but me throwing the ball is going to make them something. I might be doing 90% of the work, but I just need them to hold on to it. And obviously that's been the biggest issue this year, is that they've been dropping the ball left and right, except in this game. But they also were able to run the ball this game, right?
Right. It's, what's funny? And another podcast said this, so I'm kind of like saying, logical stuff. You get rid of one guy in the AFC, the terror AFC being Tom Brady, to now you got another terror, and who probably could pass up Tom Brady being Pat Mahomes. So it's like, if you're in the AFC, you can pray. Now, if we want to fast forward to this upcoming Sunday with probably a great classic game, probably instant classic game, you got the Ravens being with the second time MVP, Lamar Jackson, going against this Chiefs game. And it's like, you can't really, I got the Ravens, but can you really say they're going to win? Because they figure it out. Like, Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches ever. Like, his offensive scheme, and we saw that even when he was with Philly, he just figures it out. Definitely. You got McNabb and you got T.O. out there, so it ain't that hard to come up with
Michael Vick year. Yeah. Michael Vick's year was one of the all-time. And I have to remember what Kevin Cobb's stats were like, but that was the whole point of, like, he was ditching McNabb because he thought Kevin Cobb could succeed in his offense. Like, that was the whole point of it.
And the crazy thing is, my fault to cut you off, I'm thinking about how many talented offensive players he's had. It's like
Ryan Westbrook, like I said, Terrell Owens, Brent Selleck, right?
Deshaun Jackson,
LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy.
He probably I don't know if they Hall of Famers, but let me see their stats. They might be.
Well, the Baseball Hall of Fame, when the ballot was today, they had Todd Helton, Adrian Beltre, and I can't remember. I didn't care for the guys they picked. Not in a negative way, but I'm just like, okay, they picked these guys.
Because they ain't gonna pick the guys that we should say. Not even Barry. We ain't even gotta bring up Barry.
Everybody it's just tough to say who's a Hall of Famer in baseball because it's so weird.
Because they have this, so to speak, secret society when it comes to their voting. Like, bruh, who is good enough? Deshaun should be a Hall of Famer too, by the way.
Oh, and Joe Mauer was a Hall of Famer. I'll agree with Joe Mauer.
Look up Deshaun Jackson. LaShawn could be a Hall of Famer in my book.
I don't think so. I see. That's the thing. I think football.
He made the 2010 all team.
Well, last week you said if Lamar gets this MVP, that solidifies him as a Hall of Famer for the rest of his career, regardless, because he got two. It's hard to get two. There aren't too many multiple-time MVPs. And he's someone, too, where you have to remember, like, he's a real, like, remember watching him play, because his running, how he's so fluid, and it's, again, the definition of smooth is him when you watch him run. It's insane, because some of the stop and starts he had, and just be able to, and not even like cut in a fast way, just cut in that slow motion way. As the Houston was giving him fits in the first quarter. That was the only game I was really paying attention to besides the Niner Packer game was Houston Baltimore, and they were giving him fits at first. They were able to blitz right through that offensive line, and when he was trying to make plays, they still were able to keep up with him as best they could and sack him behind the line of scrimmage. And the only thing was that Houston's offense wasn't clicking and Baltimore's offense was. And he was able to make throws again. His arm just moves with that like slingshot, legit like slingshot motion of him just firing passes at the guys. It's like, damn. And he has a decent core receivers, but I don't think he has the best core of receivers left in the playoffs. I think that's my team, to be honest. And that's no offense to Zay Flowers and Likely and old man Beckham, but
well,
still.
is Debo gonna be healthy enough?
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. It's funny. We just talked about how you can't judge guys how they play in the rain, and this was a rain game.
Yeah.
And Brock Purdy played bad. I don't think that was just all rain, though. I think it was probably 40% of it. But he was just underthrowing, overthrowing, but still he found guys at the right moments. And the biggest thing he figured out, and I knew it right at that moment, I saw a clip of it earlier today, was on the snap right before McCaffrey scored that TD, Charlie Warner, the backup tight end, is getting into motion, and Brock Purdy says, no, stay where you're at. And Charlie Warner goes back there. They hike the ball, and McCaffrey just, boom, goes right through the middle of the line. And if you see it, like Trent Ware picks up what probably would have been an unguarded guy to tackle McCaffrey right at the handoff. That's what a quarterback does. I know Cam Newton's right with this whole playmaker, game manager, but a quarterback has to figure out stuff like that. He saw the whole pre-snap reads, and that's what that was. And Lamar Jackson does quarterbacky things too. I'm one of his biggest believers. I know you are as well. And he makes throws when he has to make throws. As much as they give him shit like, oh, he's just a runner who happens to pass. Like that pass to Likely, you have to put that ball where the guy's gonna be able to pick it right at the air. Like
that's
that.
perfect too.
And that's what it is. That's the first time I really saw Jordan Love play like that. And I was impressed. He was making throws that I'm like, whoa, he's putting that. And people were saying Brock Purdy wasn't making those throws, and they were right. But again, watch that George Kittle touchdown. Watch one of the big plays he threw at Ayuk, and Ayuk saved him with that one that was about to touch the ground, because Ayuk is, like I said, he's rivaling the guys in his class that are 1 and 2, being CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. Those guys are obviously 1 and 2 in any order. If you had said CeeDee Lamb's 1, I wouldn't disagree. But Justin Jefferson at 1 is also fair. But Brandon Ayuk is going to give them a run for their money in the next year or two if he keeps playing at this level. And
I wish Justin gets to a better team, though. I'll say that.
But he's a guy who, again, has a quarterback, a guy who likes to sling the ball and finds guys. I mean, which is why I was saying what I said about Stephon Diggs. Like, are you mad because you're now in the same boat where a guy finds other options? I mean, if you want to be the number one option, go play with Matt Stafford, because he's a one receiver guy. He does throw the ball to other guys, but he locks onto a primary target. And when the other teams know to take away that target, then he'll throw the ball elsewhere. That's why Cooper Kupp had numbers the way he did. That's why Puka Nacua had the year he had, because Matt Stafford's like, just get open, or don't even get open. Catch the ball when it's thrown to you, which is why people are like, Puka Nacua is going to have a short career, because he's going to be Austin Collie. He's going to get thrown into middle coverage and get sandwiched. Like, Matt Stafford just like, I know this guy can catch it. I'm going to throw it to him, because he had Megatron for 8 years and got used to that. But not every guy is 6'3".
I was just about to say that.
With the skill set of Calvin Johnson.
Right. Where as soon as you just throw it at him, pause, he don't even have to jump. It just like, it's right here.
Yeah. Mike Evans. I mean, and that's what people are saying. And this is where I've said, like, Baker Mayfield's. I was saying this again last night to Kiki. I'm like, and this is why I've always hated Baker Mayfield. I'm like, if Baker Mayfield was black, he would be the worst athlete in the world to people. For all the dancing, for all his mediocreness, they would rip him apart if he was black. But the fact that he's a white guy who's colorful, he gets away with being trash. Yeah,
right, he did snap in this game.
No, I'm saying, yeah, he has his moments. But he also, that interception he threw at the end was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
You can't get mad at the Jordan Love interception at the end. And even the first one was a tip pass. Again, but the Jordan Love interception at the end that sealed the game, He's marching down to try to go win the game after the kicker missed the field goal. If the kicker makes the field goal, it's a tie game. All Jordan Love has to do in that last drive is give them a chance to maybe win it, not win it outright.
Yeah.
You either play for the win or you play for the tie. And unfortunately, that was a win now drive. And again, in the rain, at that point, he made a bad pass. But again, it wasn't his fault that it was the game sealing one because the fucking kicker missed. And this is why I say I don't trust kickers. I never trust kickers. I never will.
Unless it's Justin Tucker, yeah. Don't trust no kickers.
That is true. And only one man, and it's the whitest man with the biggest following in Baltimore. Again, they will ride and die with that man, which I respect.
Yeah,
that is their number one. That is the number one you hate white boy is Justin Tucker.
You know, it'd be crazy. Speaking of old man Odell, let's say they win a title. This would be his second title in 2 years. Does this make him a Hall of
Second
Famer?
and three, yeah. Second and three, yeah. Kansas City won last year. They won the year before. So it's a second title.
22. So this would be a second in 2 years.
No,
in the past 2 years.
That was the 2022 Super Bowl. That was last year was the 2023. This is
Yeah.
So
maybe I'm misphrasing it.
Yeah, it's 2 and 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So would that make him a Hall of Famer?
On paper, you would say the first half is you would say the Giants numbers with 2 Super Bowls not on the Giants would get him in territory. Because he didn't do shit in Los Angeles. He made one catch in that game and then was out the rest of it. He made one huge catch. And those Cleveland numbers were not good. And these Baltimore numbers are so-so. And again, he's barely, 32?
Yeah, I'm looking up his information right now. He's 31 years old. He'll be 32 in November.
And they were writing him off completely this past. And I'm like, damn, who else was I looking up the other day where I'm like, damn, they're barely, I ain't trying to put you on, but I'm like, they're barely your age. And that's crazy to say that we look at people that way.
That's just how it is. It's like when I talked about Mike Evans and others have talked about Mike Evans.
Well, no, I agree. Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame. I agree. He's well, we had that whole conversation, but he's a Hall of Famer. Just if you have 1,000 yards every season your entire career, like that's a Hall of Famer.
Well, Odell got 7,932 over the course of his career.
But again, is it more front loaded? Like I'm saying, like is it he put up numbers so early that that's why it's so skewed? And that's really what the Hall of Fame is supposed to be about. How consistent you were versus, again, shout out to that RAOP when they had a brief conversation about Penny, and Amp said, Penny's the Hall of Famer for me because his impact, while it was short, it was an impact.
Right.
And that's where there should almost be a separate wing or a separate Hall of Fame for all stars like that. You know what I mean? Like what Mike Vick said was accurate, and it was sad when he said, like, I won't be a Hall of Famer. And it's like, damn, but he was a revolutionary figure. Like he was
a Hall of Famer to us.
You should be a Hall of Famer. That's something like you should at least get recognition for that. And that Black Quarterback documentary is coming out on Amazon this year. I'm really looking forward to that, which he's a part of. And that's why we have the Strouds and the Mahomes and the Lamars of today's. I know there were the Warren Moons and the Cunninghams and people before Mike Vick, but he was the guy that took it to the ultimate level of that. And I mean, and it's actually like, yeah, Mike Vick, he won't be a Hall of Famer. Damn. But again, to me, it's like,
yeah, no, without question. To me, I mean, the video game alone should put him in the Hall of Fame. Being Madden 04.
That's the thing, yeah.
But I mean, he's like the football version of AI. Ironically, they're from Virginia, where they just a star to us no matter what. I don't care about the stats. Obviously, AI, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players ever. But I'm saying, just as you look at them, you like, hey, they're a Hall of Famer to me.
Yeah,
they ain't my Hall
and
of
that's
Fame.
Right. In Hall of Fame, it's supposed to speak to a larger audience, not a personal one. And I agree. Again, like even though I never liked Todd Helton because he played for the Rockies, I can't deny like every time I looked at the box score for the Rockies, Todd Helton had amazing numbers. Like, and even though they weren't a great team all the time. He was the best player on their team. It's that thing too. Like the Barry Sanders argument. Do we reward you for being so great while being surrounded by shit? I mean, you kind of have to, because it's not the whole.
Too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not just the whole you look great by comparison argument, which is a lot of times what people would say, but it's. I mean, I know Dot listens to Gil's Arena. I listen to the clips. It's hard. Like Rashad McCants might be the stupidest talking head I've ever heard.
Even one of the reasons why I say they need to take podcast mics away. You're right.
Yeah, but I think
great player with the Timberwolves, but
no. Again, why did he flame out after 2 years? Then come on,
great 2 years, bro.
Yeah, but what Gil said about guys who get numbers and the stigma of that, like, oh, he's just a guy that gets numbers. It's still hard to get numbers, and I'm like, that's a fair point. Like, saying the whole stigma of Devin Booker the first years of his career, like he's just a guy that gets numbers, his teams doesn't win. I'm like, and that's when the teams, they look to you to be the focal point or to be the one to do something because no one else can. So the burden gets placed on you, and by comparison, that makes you look selfish. Blah blah blah. Even if you are or aren't a Kobe disciple or want to be Kobe disciple, but we're seeing that with Jordan Poole. Like he's on the chance to be that same thing, and he just can't put up numbers, right? And whether that's
and he has an IQ of a donut too.
But I agree that, and I wasn't like, oh, he's right, and I never thought about that. I'm like, he is right, because not everyone could just. You put me on a bad team, I'm not going to be able to put up numbers automatically. Like what the, like
right, and then you got to work hard to get them numbers too.
Yeah, I think. And granted, when it's 15 buckets on 38 shots, that's where it looks bad. Like, because if you're shooting 38 times to get 15 only, it's like that's where eye test and numbers analytics have to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Because most times we see stats, which is really what the Brock Purdy thing is a lot of the time. It's look at the stats and watch him play. Great days, it's like, damn, the numbers are right. Bad days, it's like there might be some phoniness here, and it's the supporting
that's what
cast.
It's gonna be against the Lions.
We'll see. And can they argue the same thing about Jared Goff when he was in LA with the Rams? Oh, look who this guy has. He's got this. And look who his coach is. The coach just, which was fucked up. But then when they're like, the coach just tells him where to throw and when to throw it. And it's like, well.
Now, I still got the Niners coming out, but still. I still haven't won in that game, I should say, but still.
But I agree that Detroit's a tough match. I think it's going to be a tough game like Green Bay was. And if it's shitty weather again, that's going to be even worse. I haven't looked at the forecast for the game. But the teams on the other side are both tough matchups, not just because Baltimore kicked our ass, but Pat Mahomes is still Pat Mahomes.
But y'all
like you said, he's Tom Brady. Pat Mahomes has made 6 straight AFC title games. It's that insane. Crazy.
No, but it's on y'all home field, so it's going to be no more than 50 degrees. It's California. But the
rain is what I'm saying. I'm saying if the rain plays the same thing, then who knows? Maybe that's also worse for Jared Goff and his small hands. So
I just thought about that too. The Bay do get cold, so yeah, that's a different type of cold.
But he's from the Bay and he went to Cal, so he's played in weather like that. So these are. I know when he got to Detroit,
he said, "What the fuck is this?"
And not just they sound exactly like us.
Yeah, no, I know he was. Yeah, that too. He was like, "Dang, that's something like my homies I went to school with." But besides that, he just like, "Bruh, this is a different type of cold." Because Detroit, hey, what Michael Irvin said when we played in the cold.
Yeah, one of the best quotes of all time.
Hey, Todd Bowles is my favorite coach. He is hilarious. Just emotionless like that. Yeah, just like that. Just emotionless. Like, and they know what they was doing by putting the camera on him. Every time something happened, he just. And then how he answered the reporter too. She was like, "How do you fare in this type of weather?" He was like, "Well, the Lions play in the dome, so we won't have that problem." Like this dude is a serial killer.
You have to be a coach. You have to be an athlete. I think there's that thing going around today about why we should know linebackers are crazy because look at all the linebackers in history, and then look at what it takes to be a linebacker.
Bro, I'm like, y'all just now starting to realize that?
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to Dick Butkus. Like, it goes all the way back to that, you know? It's not just Lawrence Taylor. It goes back to the way back. Again, Mike Singletary was born skinny and sick and then turned himself into Mike Singletary for a reason. Like,
yeah, I don't know if steroids was involved, but whatever it was involved.
That's why it's still shocking to me that Dan Campbell's not a linebacker, because he's the most linebacker type guy of all time.
Y'all winning. 70 degrees, y'all winning.
It'll be an interesting game. It'll be, I mean, this, I wanted to have Dodd on, but not just to rub it in his face, because I legit was like the whole time that I sat up on my couch and was like this the last 6 minutes of the game, just because it was the intensity was too much. But yeah, because the last 4 games against the Packers, I had never worried, really. The 2 Kaepernick games, I'm like, I didn't think he was going to run all over them the way he did, but I'm like, this is God. So,
yeah.
And the second one, he went to Green Bay and won in the cold. I'm like, Big and I was full of confidence by then because we had just beaten Cam Newton the week before. And I'm like, and he's beaten these guys already. He'd beaten them in the start of that season, and he beat them in the playoffs the year before. And then the win when Jimmy Garoppolo didn't throw a pass after halftime is one of the funniest wins of all time, just because they couldn't stop Raheem Mostert running the ball. But again, the highlight of this game, besides Dre Greenlaw sealing it at the end and being one of the all-time Bay Area figures because he stopped Seattle on the 1-yard line a few years ago, and then he kicked out Big Dom. He kicked Big Dom out of the NFL and ruined the Eagles' season this year. But Christian McCaffrey, just having Mr. Simone Biles bounce off his knee is one of the best highlights of the year so far, because that man couldn't tackle him head up, so he tried to get him at his knees and just boonk. And it was a pure one-on-one. Like, he was the only guy between him and the end zone, and he just got played.
Yeah, that's what he get, talking all that shit, talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, she slid in my DM. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You about to be the prize on your ass on the field.
Yeah.
So there you go. You got your highlight moment.
Yeah, that's what a prize looks like versus a woman who has a collection of gold medals. So,
right, motherfuckers, a Cracker Jack box prize.
Yeah.
Ain't
with his Nelly Band-Aid. But we're going to wrap it up. This was an early episode because Banks is going to be on assignment this weekend. We'll be back next week covering the Royal Rumble, the playoff games. I assume a number of movie news because stuff always drops in between then.
Yeah, there's been a lot of news lately too, surprisingly.
It's what happens when we return to podcasting, and look what happens. The Rock takes control of WWE in a way, and what he's saying in Ghostbusters when he's like, cats and dogs will be friends. He's like, up will be down, women and children. He's like,
and the wild thing is, I don't think this is it. I think they got some more news ahead. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to really talk about the whole. Well, we don't do speculation.
The Seth Rollins thing or the.
No, we talked about that a little bit. Shorty probably. I hate wrestling journalists, and maybe I might have the energy to talk about them. Well, she said she's coming back. She might be going to AEW, but then they said this is done.
At this point, like it's been the last 8 months, it's.
Y'all don't know.
No, but I had said this on BRP last year. I'm like, if she wanted to go to AEW, she would have gone there.
Thank you.
And I've been saying that on these last few episodes with you when we've talked about it. I'm like, if she wanted to go there, she would have done it already. The fact that she hasn't gone there shows her hand, and it's not where she wants to be. Not even, again, in a spiteful way, like the CM Punk thing. In terms of going back to WWE, that's a spite thing, CM Punk going back to WWE. But her holding out for them to re-sign her, and her being the issue in terms of not agreeing to what they're putting in front of her, which, again, you don't have to sign the contract they give you. You sign the contract you want. Mm-hmm. But it's not Tony Khan's fault he hasn't signed her. It's nothing like that. And I shit on Tony Khan all the time, but it's not his fault.
And it's not the money, because he got the money, obviously, because you see what's been going on. The thing is, right now, he's definitely like, bro, I got to get some type of motion, because again, it's spooky right now. So I got to get something to be like, oh, I got a one up on you because I signed another one of your former talent. So obviously, it's not the case like Davis just said that it's him. It's more so her. So now he really in a situation where he just like, then Okada news that he more likely gonna sign. It's like, bro, now it's getting really spooky for you, bro.
But it's also like you don't have to sign every key free agent again. Like, I know this is why I want to kind of get Antonio on next week. I mean, because based on how the Rumble plays out, I'm going to ask him if it's a CM Punk win or a Cody win. I want to talk to someone. I want to go straight to the source. But as a Laker fan, and I guess Earl will know too, like you had the expectation of what are we going to do every offseason, and we don't get 1 through 20. They're like, what the fuck are we doing then? Like,
yeah, we couldn't get Dame Lillard, Kevin Love, LaMarcus.
But Dame Lillard's a coach killer, as we found out today. Again, they're blaming Giannis, rightfully so in a way, because if he's that adamant, his bum of a brother plays on the team. Damian Lillard's one of the all-time, like I told you, he ain't. There's a reason he hasn't won. It's him too. He puts up numbers. He doesn't win.
But this is what I said about the coach. I know he was a assistant for Nick Nurse in Toronto. I was like, bro, y'all got to get a vet. You got to get a veteran coach who can coach in that system, because now you got a guy that's great offensive-wise, one-on-one, but then he can't play defense, and everybody else can't play defense. Chris Middleton isn't the same Chris Middleton because of the ACLs. So it's like,
old.
Yeah. So now you got to, and then they don't move the ball around in the pause. It's like, all right, your turn, my turn, your turn.
Well, I wonder why. Who joined the team this year?
Yeah. And he's a 2 guard, but he just has to play the 1 because he's undersized. But there are no more pure points anymore. That's been done for a minute. JJ Redick just said that this past week, and it's like, ain't no, bro. That's been done since like D Rose stepped into the league. Him and Westbrook.
The point guards are the shooting guards. Again, James Harden, Luka Doncic. The guys who handle the ball are the guys who shoot the ball too. Like it one upped.
Yeah, and Dame's problem is he only like 6'1".
Yeah.
So that's his biggest issue. If he was 6'3", 6'4", it's the same thing like they used to say with AI. If he was 6'4", he'd be the greatest. Even Bean said it, got arrested. So he said if AI was 6'4", 6'5", we'll all be in trouble.
Yeah, but
that's all it comes down to.
So again, we'll be back next week. And we'll see how then. Thanks again for the new subscribers. Check out the clips. Banks has been doing a great job cutting out clips from the show. Those have been doing great numbers too, especially the sports ones. But again, here we talk about sports, wrestling, movies, TVs, other random shit, of course. But thank y'all, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.